Imagine breaking up with yourself. You walk away, but you're still here. One version of you stays, the other walks into the future without looking back. It's when you are your own ex, not from love, but from time. The present you broke up with the past you, and the future you is already seeing someone else. You and your ex-self meet every day. One is the you of now, and the other one is the one who's already gone. And what stands between you is a strange divide we call time. And the reason you're breaking up with yourself is because you exist. I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. But first, let's take a step back. Some time ago, I went through a strange year. A year when I lived almost entirely in the future. I was chasing a promotion so fiercely that I broke up with myself completely. I mean, my present self. I was not there for my own self. The present hardly existed for me. Every moment was just a distraction from that time in the future. I sacrificed almost all of my now for it. The coffee I drank, the book I read, they felt like distractions and diversions from the one destination that mattered. The day I finally got that promotion. It never came. Eventually, I sort of wasted an entire year living in the future with no real enjoyment of the present. It felt like I had lost a whole year of my life. And then a thought hit me. What if I spend not just 1 year like this, but my entire life? I realized I wasn't prepared for this thing called life. Sure, I'd been taught how to get a job, how to earn a living, but no one educated me on the most important thing, time. There was no class in school called Time 101. What is time? How does it work? How do we manage to constantly live in the future while forgetting that the
future's now, old man?
So I set out to educate myself. And of course, I wasn't alone in this obsession. Everywhere I looked, in philosophy, literature, or poetry, movies, I kept finding one common thread about time, a paradox and an unexplainable contradiction. That's one of the main themes of this channel, by the way, exploring the strangeness of our world through the strange machinery of language. So if you're new here, welcome to the madhouse. Me waiting for my promotion was like waiting for Godot, that play by Samuel Beckett, where two men stand in a forgotten desolate place with nothing but a tree in there, waiting for someone called Godot. But Godot never arrives. They don't even know who Godot is, or why they're waiting for him.
Let's go. We can't. Why not? We're waiting for Godot.
Oh, yes. It's a story about the absurdity of waiting, and of time itself. We're all waiting for our own Godot. It's anything we sacrifice our present for, that one imagined moment in the future. Mine was my promotion. And when it never came, that's when time got in my mind.
They won't let me scuba. If I can't scuba, then what's this all been about? What am I working toward?
And that's when the turning point happened. The moment in life when some people reach for comfort food, some for yoga, and I reached for existentialism. Because when you're going to feel lost, you might as well get properly lost. Lost enough to start questioning the very thing holding my days together. Lost enough to feel that quiet, unsettling suspicion that something is off about time. That the world's fabric is slipping in a way you can't name. It's what Jean-Paul Sartre called nausea. In his novel by the same name, his main character describes it like this.
I see the future. It is there, poised over the street, hardly more dim than the present. What advantage will accrue from its realization? The old woman stumps further and further away. She stops, pulls at a grey lock of hair which escapes from her kerchief. She walks. She was there. Now she is here. I don't know where I am anymore. Do I see her motions, or do I foresee them? I can no longer distinguish present from future. And yet it lasts. It happens little by little. The old woman advances in the deserted street, shuffling her heavy, mannish brogues. This is time, time laid bare, coming slowly into existence, keeping us waiting. And when it does come, making us sick because we realize it's been there for a long time.
The existentialists approach the human being in a strange way. They say there's an unexplainable loophole, a gap inside us, in our very being. And that gap is what we call time. One of the most important books on existentialism doesn't beat around the bush. It's called Being and Time by Martin Heidegger. Time and being are the same thing. It's what makes us who we are. It's that nauseating split that separates our present self from our future or past self. The great literary existentialist Fyodor Dostoevsky even wove this split into the name of one of his most famous characters, Rodion Raskolnikov. His surname comes from the Russian word raskol, meaning a split, a break. And this existentialist fascination with this split isn't random. It's built right into the word existence itself. Ex means former, outside of. Sistence means standing. So existence literally means standing outside of yourself. It's like stepping out of a relationship, breaking up with your own ex. Only this time the ex is you. Not just one you, but many. Your present self, your past self, and your future self. Even your dream self or your awake self. This break between you and your ex-self is that which we decided to call time. But the good news is that it's thanks to this breakup that we even have a self. Think about it. How can you have a self unless you are not that self? If I say I have to put myself together, that means there are already two of me. The self doing the putting together and the self being put together. Time is the space in which that can happen, that we can claim that we exist. Exciting, isn't it? And yet, because of that strange gap inside us, sometimes we're not even sure we do exist. Because who's more real? The you right now or the ex-you? The one from your past or the one still to come? We say that time passes, but if it really passed, why do we keep finding ourselves in the same place? The present. Why is now always here, no matter how much time goes by? Maybe nothing actually passes. Maybe time doesn't come to you at all. Maybe it's you who's running out of time. We use this strange expression, running out of time, as if we were holding it in our hands, like water slipping through our fingers. But taken literally, I am running out of time is a deeply unsettling thought. When we run out of time, we almost step out of this dimension, as if falling from a black hole, as if slipping out of a nothing itself. It's as if time were a kind of gate, a door. You're always running out of it in order to meet your own self in the future. That gap, that breakup from your own ex, is the very thing you're always escaping from, just to keep existing. So what is this black hole called time? Is it made of something, of particles, molecules? Is it even in space? Not quite. Think of time as a door between two rooms. Is the door part of either room? Yes and no. When you're standing in the doorway, you're in neither room, yet in both at the same time. The door is where, or rather when, you exit and enter simultaneously. It's not the room, it's the gap between rooms. A door is a kind of a strange nothing in between somethings. It is so strange and so symbolic that in virtually every culture or religion, the door signifies something sacred. For instance, the Torii Gate in Japan, before entering a shrine, the mezuzah in Judaism, or the gates of St. Peter in Christianity. When the writer Aldous Huxley decided to experiment on hallucinogenics, he documented his experiences in a book he called The Doors of Perception. That book inspired the famous band The Doors with their famous song, Break On Through to the Other Side. Doors are everywhere around us, but we rarely notice how strange they actually are. And that makes doors perfect metaphors for time as well, because a door is nothing, just as time is nothing. The nothing you run out of in order to find yourself in the great room we call space. But the difference is that a physical door is fixed in a place we can actually see it. Time, on the other hand, is a door that it's invisible, and it always follows you wherever you are. You are never actually passing it. You're always running out of it. And it lasts exactly as long as you exist. So time is the gap of nothing, and we know nothing about it. That's not just a little unsettling, it's downright nauseating. Not just nauseating, terrifying. To realize that we have no clue about the place we're constantly running out of, it's so terrifying that most of us simply never think about it. We just go about our lives pretending we're taking it under control. But we haven't. We have no control over this nothing called time, because if we understood it, we wouldn't be calling it nothing in the first place. And here we meet one of the great obsessions of existentialism, the nothing. As Heidegger put it, time persists, consists in passing. It is, in that it constantly is not. In other words, the problem of time is not that it's something that keeps getting less. It's that it's nothing that keeps getting less. Constantly. The real problem of time is not in time, but in the problem itself, in its shadow. Neither science nor even our language is equipped to deal with it. Let's start with language. We speak of minutes of time, but why minutes? Because minute means minus, something smaller than something else. In this case, smaller than an hour. And after minutes, we have something smaller still, seconds. And why are they called seconds? Because they're secondary to something primary, the actual origin of time. But here's the thing, we don't have a word for anything smaller than a second. Because the moment you try to name it, you already run out of it. Scientifically, the most possible slice of time is a ridiculously tiny number. In plain English, that's decimal point, followed by 43 zeros before you even get to a number. Any shorter than that, and time itself might stop making sense. But the problem is, the number is still measured in seconds. No matter how small, a second is still secondary. We've never gone beyond it, not in science, not in our language. Our rational tools simply stop here. But we have other tools up our sleeves, the irrational ones. And that's where art and poetry step in. In the art of filmmaking, Christopher Nolan is perhaps the director that most obsesses with the paradox of time. In Inception, Nolan teases us with the idea of the origin of time, that mysterious moment before the first second, the beginning. But there's no clear beginning in Inception, and no clear end. It's all dreams stacked inside dreams, looping endlessly in circle. In Latin, it comes from in capita, literally head in, a beginning that is already folded into itself. The oldest symbol for that is the snake eating its own tail, the Ouroboros, infinity itself. So that's it. We found the inception, the beginning of time. But wait a second. Didn't we forget something? The second. While we were chasing the origins of time and drawing circles of infinity, the second kept slipping by. And the moment we remembered it, we were already in the next second. Again and again and again.
Why should I live in history, huh? Look, I don't want to know anything anymore. This is a world where nothing is solved. Someone once told me time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again. And that little boy and that little girl, they're gonna be in that room again. And again. And again.
It might even help to pinch ourselves just to be sure we're not dreaming. In this strange world where every second is only an outcome, a reflection, never the origin itself, every second feels unoriginal, unreal, dreamlike. And there's no rational way to explain this loop. But there is an irrational one, through contradiction, through reversal. Think about the word contradiction. If a prediction is something that comes before speech, prediction, then a contradiction is something that happens during speech, as the words are unfolding. It's when further meets backward, halfway, what we casually call further back. I'll let Missy Elliott give you an example.
Is it worth it? Let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your primitive, it's why I need number. It's your primitive, it's why I need.
This kind of reversal is exactly what Nolan plays with in his other film, Tenet, where the protagonist is literally moving backwards in time. And here again, the title is telling. Tenet is a palindrome, a word you read the same forward and backward.
Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
In literature, this trick has a long history. James Joyce pushed it to the extreme in his famously baffling book Finnegan's Wake. At one point he writes, "It may be matter of fact now, but was fodder of Mac then." And no, that's not a typo. That's just Joyce being Joyce. The whole book is structured like a dream that loops in on itself. The first sentence is actually a continuation of the last. So when you finish it, you're meant to start again. Even the title is a loop. Fin, Latin for end, and again, while wake can mean awake or awake, as in a trail behind a boat or a funeral. So why do we even keep measuring time at all when we still have no idea what it basically is? Because we have to. We need some way to organize ourselves, to give shape to the chaos of our lives. Physicist Carlo Rovelli puts it best in his bestseller, The Order of Time. Time, or at least what we call time, is just an order, a sequence, a pattern of change. But where it comes from is still a great mystery.
It's shocking. In my opinion, it's one of the most shocking things, and it's perhaps the most astonishing conclusion of modern physics.
Let's take one example of these tools we've invented to tame time, the calendar. In ancient Rome, time wasn't a fixed grid like the neat rectangles on your wall today. It was something far stranger and far more human. Roman priests would watch the skies, track the moon phases, and decide when a new month began. If they delayed the announcement, that meant the month simply hadn't started yet. In other words, they didn't just measure time, they made it. The start of each month was called a calend, from the Latin calare, to call out, to shout aloud. So the calendar was literally declared into existence. And it wasn't always 12 months. The original Roman year had only 10. It began in March and ended in December, which is why December still carries its name from decem, 10, the closing of the decimal count. It was only later that the ruler Numa Pompilius slipped in 2 extra months, January and February, and put January first. January took its name from Janus, the two-headed Roman god who looked both to the past and to the future. We think of January 1st as a clean start, but it's not just the beginning of a new year, it's also the ending of the old. That's why Janus wasn't just the god of time's turning, he was also the god of gates and doors. You know the song Ave Maria, sung every Christmas Eve. But the story of the song and of every Eve, whether Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, is the same recurring tale of palindromes and reversals. Eve itself is a palindrome, read the same forward and backward. That's the nature of every Eve, and in a way of every evening. But why stop there? The same is true of every ever, as in forever. The forever of time, always looking back and forward at once. So yes, this song, Ave Maria, is a reversal of Eva. Every Christmas Eve becomes Ave, the end reversed into the beginning, over and over again, forever. If the previous year were a room and the next year another room, then January 1st is the door that belongs to both of these rooms. This is a paradox in which we exit and enter, begin and end all at once. In other words, time has no real beginning or end. These are just concepts we created to keep some order in our heads. And we only have one head to work with. But what about the past, which we think of safely tucked away in the past? What about the Greeks, the Romans? They lived a long time ago. Now they're gone. But are they? They may be gone from space, leaving us only their ruins and remnants, but they're definitely not gone from time, because we return to them from time to time, if not all the time. Shakespeare put it best: what's past is prologue. In other words, The past is our guide to the future. We cannot imagine the future without a past. The future is only a reflection of the past. For example, no political system could survive if it tries to live only in the future with no reference to what came before. And the more turbulent our present becomes, the more we long to go back. And speaking of going to the past or the future, have you noticed that we always describe time in spatial terms in the language of space? We speak of time passing, running, standing still. We arrange to meet at 3 o'clock as if 3 o'clock were a cafe somewhere in town. We say the meeting lasts between 4 and 5, as if those hours were walls. We speak of being in time or on time, just as we'd stand on the ground. And yes, we have a word for now. But is it actually now?
Well, sometimes just now. Just now. Did you hear that? What? Just now. You must mean just then, don't you?
But treating time as space is a waste of time. And waste here doesn't mean spilling it like water on the ground or losing it on the way home. The word waste comes from the Latin vastus, vast, immense. And what is immense is immeasurable. Time is vaster than any space imaginable. That's why it feels impossible to measure. And what we can't measure, we're quick to call wasted. So if we could imagine time as a place, as a land we could be in or on, it would be a wasteland. And that is a poem by another Eliot, T.S. Eliot.
What are the roots that clutch? What branches grow out of this stony rubbish? Son of man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images where the sun beats and the dead tree gives no shelter, the cricket no relief, and the dry stone no sound of water. Only there is shadow under this red rock. Come in under the shadow of this red rock, and I will show you something different from either your shadow at morning striding behind you, or your shadow at evening rising to meet you. I will show you fear in a handful of dust.
That is time, the wasteland, an immense, immeasurable land where the shadow of your past is also the shadow of your future. And all this stuff we call space, this land you can hold in your hand, the dust, is just dust. It means nothing to time. It's rubbish, the secondary leftovers of a contradictory process where the past molds into the future, and between that, there's a gap. Another great poet, Walt Whitman, captured the paradox of time brilliantly. We have thus far exhausted trillions of winters and summers. There are trillions ahead and trillions ahead of them. Whitman's line folds time in on itself, where ahead and ahead of are the same thing, where the past and the future share the same head. It subtly recalls Janus, ahead and ahead of, merging into the circle of inception, the dreamland. And in fact, time, dreams, and sleep share a single uncanny trait. The moment you fall asleep is the moment you don't know how or when it happened. That moment is completely blank, a gap in your memory. You can recall the dreams that came after or the wakefulness that was before, but nothing of the crossing itself.
You never really remember the beginning of a dream, do you? You always wind up right in the middle of what's going on.
I guess, yeah.
So how did we end up here?
But isn't this same break, this same gap present at every moment of our waking lives? Every second. And if every second is secondary no matter what we do, what can we claim about the primary moment in time? When did it actually happen? Are we awake or asleep? Perhaps a little both at the same time.